Welcome to Boring Gear Reviews. Today we're going to talk about the Model FeT by Electronic Audio Experiments. So if you're not familiar with Electronic Audio Experiments, they are a high-end pedal company based out in Boston and founded by John Snyder. The chances are you have a pedal somewhat made by John Snyder. If you open up any boutique effects pedal, there's a good chance the PCB will say layout or designed by or with help from John Snyder of Electronic Audio Experiments. Everything I've played from him is truly incredible. Really high end. You can tell not only does he really know what he's doing, but they put a ton of care and effort into their pedals, and it shows. In the feel, in the sound, it's all there. So the Model FeT is a transistor-based preamp, and it's based on the Sun Model T, really big, loud amplifier. All the specs you can see on the website, so I'm not going to go over in detail everything about the pedal, but there's a ton of information there. You can also go to Electronic Audio Experiments Instagram, and they have a TikTok, and John gives a ton of information there as well. So this is my pedal. It lives on my pedal board. It's been there since the day I got it, and I have no plans of it coming off ever. So this is not a paid review or anything like that. This is mine. So I primarily use this as a kind of low to medium gain dirt pedal, but it can do so much more. It's the most amp-like pedal I've ever played. I've played, I don't know, 100 drive pedals, and I've had and sold, dozens and dozens and dozens. This sounds and feels most like an amp out of any of them. And I have other amazing ones that I love. None of them quite do what this does. So I'm not going to go over the full range of each knob, but suffice it to say you have a 3-band EQ, bass, mid, and treble. You have a master volume, which you can use to really push the front of your amp as well, or if you want to dial it back. And then you have 2 channels, normal and bright. On the normal channel, you can push a lot of low end. So usually if I'm boosting the normal channel, I'll roll back the bass and then get most of the low end from that switch there, that knob there rather. The bright channel is really amazing, and that's where you'll get like a lot of the kind of clang and glassiness if that's what you want to. This can do a ton of sounds. It doesn't just do the kind of doom metal or stoner metal thing. It definitely does that, but it does a lot more. So you can get almost like Fender Tweed breakup stuff, and you can get completely blown out. You can do just good mid dirt levels. You can do super high gain stuff. You can push it to like blowing out fuzz type of thing. It's pretty amazing. So I'm going to run through some settings and yeah, enjoy. So as you can hear, it's a very dry sounding distortion. That's my favorite kind of drive pedal. That's very warm and dry. I don't know if that's the right term, but that's the most accurate I can describe it as. There's some distortion pedals or drive pedals that sound like really overly saturated, whether or not you're pushing them hard or not. And that's not really the sound that I'm into. The sound that I'm into is what this thing does. That even when you're driving it really hard, which you'll see later, it stays dry and amp-like. It sounds like tubes, hot tubes, and a big speaker pushing air. And that's what I'm really into. So this next setting is I'm going to pull it back. So I'm going to use primarily the bright channel, a little bit of the normal channel for a tiny bit of low end, but because of that, it's so low, I'm going to boost the bass. And I don't ever turn mid-range all the way off. I'm like a, big mid-range guy. So I'm always cranking mid-range. But for the sake of this video, to show some of the range of the pedal, I am going to crank the mid-range. And then I'm boosting the treble a lot, and that kind of offsets the lack of mid-range. All right, so now we're going to drive it really hard. I'm going to crank both channels, and then when you do this, there's a ton of volume in this pedal. So when you crank these two channels, you'll want to control a lot with the master. For the most part, I find that keeping it at noon to 1 o'clock is pretty safe. But if you don't want to kind of overload your amp, you'll definitely want to keep that in mind. I'm going to put the mid-range back up, treble, around noon or 1, and then dropping the bass back off. In this case, because I'm pushing everything so hard, I'm leaving the bass up to add a little bit of like a fuzzy texture. So I primarily play guitars with humbuckers in them, but I do have a few of them that have the split coil option. So I know it's not exactly a single coil pickup when you split them, but it's close enough to approximate for the sake of the demo. And the truth is, I don't really care what it sounds like with single coils. I just like showing off this guitar. So yeah, I'm going to put both channels around 1. I'm going to roll the bass off almost completely, And then mid and treble, I'm going to have at like 10 or 11. And the masters at noon. This guitar is a 79 Aria Pro 2 BC Rich Eagle copy. It's a EG 1400. The pickups that are in it are DiMarzio dual sound, which is a super distortion with 4 conductor wires, so you can split them. I'm not a big fan of high output pickups. I like low output pickups, and I put them in all of my guitars. This one I haven't changed out. I don't know if I will. I probably will. Because they're cool and they do the thing that super distortions do. They have that sound, but they're also really muddy. They get super muddy, and then in the single coil position or the split coil position, they can be a little shrill. So that's kind of why I'm running it this way. Anyway, here you go. The Model FeT is the first drive pedal on my board, and it plays really well with other drive pedals. Sometimes, with dirt pedals, distortion pedals, they can sound great on their own, and then when you pair them with other ones, it just kind of it turns to mush, or it gets really harsh, or it just becomes unusable, and that's not the case here. So I'm going to pair it with my other favorite drive pedal, the Fuck Overdrive from Small Sound Big Sound. This thing is really incredible. Similar to the Model FeT, it has a very dry, open sound. And I'm going to run them both at kind of like a low gain setting. So the Model FeT will be, bass, quarter of the way up, mid-range, 3/4 of the way up, treble right at noon, master at noon, and then both channels, the bright I'm going to have at like 11 o'clock and the normal at around 9. And you'll see I'll play clean, and then you'll hear the Fuck and then the Model FeT, and then both of them together. And then the Model FeT is first, and then the Fuck comes after that. So let's check it out with some reverb. I'm going to put the Model FeT into the Rooms by Death by Audio. Just kind of running it as like a semi-big digital delay. So, somewhere between a plate in the hall And yeah, that's that. This is a great reverb. I'm going to do a video on this as well, and I'll get into it, but just know that this thing is great. Another really great thing about this model FeT is it responds really well to not only your pick attack, but your volume as well, the volume knob of your guitar. So I'm going to play with both. I'm going to start on the neck pickup with the volume rolled down, and then I'll increase the volume and increase my pick attack and move to the bridge pickup as well. And that's really something that I look for in a drive pedal, is something that responds to the dynamics of my playing. I use heavy picks, and then I also switch between that and my fingers. And sometimes I really, really punish the strings with my picking hand. And other times I pick super, super light. I mean, I use these picks. These are 2mm. They're super thick, and being able to back off and have this respond accordingly is amazing. Again, it's like an amp. It's like a tube amp. And lastly, I'm going to run it into the Thermae from Chase Bliss. This is in my top 3 delays of all time. Yeah, it's really warm and chewy, and plus it does all the awesome sequencing stuff, and you can make it sound like birds. But I'm using it a little more tame from that, and I'm gonna run it with only. The cool thing about this is you can blend the channels, but you can also use them independently of each other. So in this case, I'm not using the normal channel at all. I'm only using the bright channel, and because of that, I'm going to crank the bass, not crank, but I'm going to put it at noon. For me, it's cranking because normally I have it, almost off. So I'm putting it at noon. Mid-range is all the way up, and then treble, I don't know, 11 o'clock. And then master right in the center. This sound I really, really love. All right, so I think it's fairly obvious to say that I love this pedal. It's a permanent stay on my board. Some things you should know about it. It has a soft relay foot switch, which I only use. If I get a pedal that doesn't have that, I mod them. You know, this normally comes with really hard mechanical switches. No, I can't handle it. No thanks. Every pedal should have relay switching. I'll take it a step further and say that every pedal should have relay switching that is both momentary and latching. Like Earthquaker Devices calls it flexi switch, right? Where if I press, it turns on, press, it turns off. But if I press and hold, it's momentary. So when I let go, it goes off again. That's what these do too. Yeah, this is going to be a topic I'm going to bring up a lot. Every time I get a pedal that's a hard click, I'm like, no, it's not going to work. I don't like it. Partly because, it's loud and obnoxious on stage and at home. And then also if you're playing at your house barefoot, using your foot on those hard click switches is really uncomfortable. And it's slower. The switches break easier. Whatever, you get it. The enclosure is the 125BB. That's this size. It's no bigger than a, kind of like a standard 125B. This is what this is. With when it's plugged in, right? Like I have a cable here somewhere. Right. So now these are large. These Mogami cables are kind of chunky, but regardless, when it's plugged in, it's about as wide as this anyway. So as far as real estate on your board, this is friendly. It's made really well, super solid. It's clean inside and out. Nothing feels like loose, so there's no rattling. It doesn't feel like cheap plastic. It feels like heavy aluminum. The knobs are fantastic, feel really good, great turning. So he's obviously using good pots. The LED switch is not overly bright, so it's not going to bug you on a dark stage or, dark bedroom or office or wherever, which I really appreciate. The overly bright, like extremely bright LEDs are frustrating. I always end up, stuffing, putting tape over it or, ripping part of my set list paper and crumpling up and shoving it down there last second because I forgot. So not an issue here. For the most part, it's low noise, but it's definitely louder than some other drive pedals I have. So, it's not the quietest pedal ever. I don't have a problem with the bass, but just know that there is a lot of low end in this pedal. So if you're a bass player or a synth player, this might be amazing for you because you're looking for that. You don't want it to suck that away. So as a guitar player, it's a mid-range instrument, so you're not looking to fill in so much low end. So for me, I usually roll back the bass, which I explained, but yeah, this thing's amazing. Totally worth the price. I can't say enough good things about it. What else? 9-volt, no battery, 9-volt power supply. I think the draw is like 65 milliamps, true bypass, all the stuff you like. So yeah, go ahead and check out Electronic Audio Experiments and all their amazing pedals. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share. I have an Instagram as well, Boring Gear Reviews. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.